Hello, my name is Joshua Dart and this is my portfolio for Media Futures. I'll be showing you 5 pieces and they come from the second and third years of my degree. This is because the first year didn't involve as much practical work, but the second and third years I got to get hands-on and I really enjoyed it. This first piece is a song that I created in MAS316. This subject involved using Cubase, which I had never done before, and I found it quite limiting because I feel that we could have used many other DAWs rather than Cubase, and I'm more used to Logic or Pro Tools seems to be the industry standard. So because of this I found it quite difficult to use, and while I thought that I could do it and the unit guide said that people without musical knowledge could do it, it actually was a lot harder and involved some basic knowledge of playing a tuned instrument like a keyboard. So to complete this task I got the help of my father, who helped me with some of the composition and writing for tuned instruments, but I got to do all the editing and recording and mixing of this song, and it really gave me a great opportunity to start to use a different DAW and expand my knowledge of music technology. Although I am a drummer, I feel that this task would have been a lot easier had it have been a group task. We could have had other students who are musicians help us out with the composition whilst we focused on the editing and the recording. But because we didn't, I did have the help of my father to do this. Yet, this unit still allowed me to learn a lot of things about Cubase and music technology, and it was a great starting point before going on to other music subjects. This next piece is my second music composition. This really showed the progression from the first one and the second one as the recording and quality of my work improved. This was mainly due to being able to use any DAW we liked this time. So for me, I used Logic because I already had it at home. And as I lived an hour away from uni, during the previous assignment, I could only work on it at uni when I was there, because that was all Cubase was on. But Logic, I had it on my computer, so I was able to work on it at any time at home. So it was a lot easier for me to make. One of the reasons that this recording was a lot more successful was the use of a metronome to really get the timing right and to be a much more tight composition. And as a drummer, I really enjoy how I record the drums, and in this case I actually did the drums on the MIDI keyboard, which gave me the flexibility to edit them on the computer later if I made any mistakes. So compared to the last song, they're a lot tighter and a lot neater. At this time in my degree, I actually started working as an intern at a recording studio, and I began to see some of the things I learnt at uni in a practical sense in the real world music industry. And one of those things is the way in which the technology has gotten cheaper and more affordable and accessible for people, and the shift from recording at big studios has gone into home studios. And I saw this as one of the engineers at the recording studio actually moved their work that they were doing there to their home and started recording from home, leaving the big studio. And this has really inspired me and made me think, wow, I can do this on my computer, maybe I could do this at home, and I could, when I finish my degree, I would love to try and start recording from my own home studio.
Well, I guess the first thing about a happy, healthy tree is it's alive and it's growing well. My name's Mark Hartley. I am the Education Chair of Arboriculture Australia and the Senior Consultant at the Arborist.
This piece is the first of 2 features that I created in radio production units. In this case, we actually had a show that was about gardening, a live radio show that we were to create ourselves, and we had to create features for them. So we chose a very strange topic of, do trees have feelings? And making this feature really challenged me, as I thought it would be, I thought it was really scary to go up to strangers and ask them, do trees have feelings? But in the end, we actually got lots of funny content.
Because they're living creatures who deserve the warmth and happiness that humans have. I think the ones at the lake are really happy because they have a lake next to them, which is a great atmosphere for a tree.
And it's really made me have this new skill of being able to record short pieces for radio that is something that can be used in many sectors of the creative industries and is really important in media.
Why wouldn't they have the feeling?
Have you seen a tree that looks particularly a certain feeling?
I think they can be sad when they haven't got enough water or there's too much concrete around them.
Portable audio recorders are a great tool in radio, and having my own has been a lot easier rather than trying to rely on the university's loaned recorders. During radio production, we also got to use the program Pro Tools, and this has been a great starting point in learning the program and some of the basic editing involved in it. These outcomes have been a great result of the unit that I'm so glad to have got out of it.
That safety net was going, so my job that I've always been like, oh well, if nothing else works, at least I've got Centrelink's income, And then a few weeks later, Ben got diagnosed with cancer.
Glee Coffee is a boutique roastery and chain of cafes located in Newcastle and the Central Coast. This second radio feature was a feature that I created in the first session of this year. In this case, we got to actually work on our own and look at a topic of interest that we could pick. So I actually chose a local coffee shop business and looked at the way in which they started a business and ran it. In doing so, I had to really develop my communication skills, something I'd never really thought about until Richard Moorcroft's lecture. This involved keeping the conversation going and asking follow-up questions whilst actively listening to her answers, whilst keeping eye contact, which was very difficult, but it's something that I still need to develop, but it was great to start doing this and see how I can use this in a practical sense. A really great aspect of this task was the great interviewer I had. She was really natural and really sounded good in a recording, but also had lots of great content and stories to present. And this whole task just furthered my Pro Tools knowledge even more.
We often used to do kind of latte art offs and in random objects, so like find a little ramekin or find a little and see who can pour the best latte art in it. One time they did on a very quiet day at Tuggerah, like back in the early days, they tried to see how high up on a ladder she could sit and pour milk into a cup. From a higher and higher. And it's just like they kept filming and she kept sitting higher until she's sitting like right on the top of this ladder.
This is my final piece for my portfolio, and this comes from Music, Sound and Moving Image, a unit that I did in session 1 of this year. We got this task which involved making the soundtrack for a scene from a silent movie, and this was a really enjoyable task which we got to do as a group. It really allowed me to use some of the skills I developed from radio production and music production and take it to a visual medium, as we had to line up the vision with the sound and all the tricky parts to that. And then by doing that, I really started to learn some new things. I learnt the vocab in analysing screen sound, which was something I never thought I'd get out of the unit.
Oh, that goat did look tasty though, didn't it?
So being a group assignment, I had the other group members find all the dialogue and the sound effects and the music, and then they sent it to me and I got to edit it and actually put it all together into the final product, which I'm really, really proud of. It actually just made me realise how much work goes into just a 3-minute scene in a movie in terms of the sound. And it's a skill that I could really take if I would ever go into a job where I was doing audio editing or video editing. So it's an outcome that I'm really glad I could get out of the course. Overall, this course has really developed my understanding of the media industry. It's built up my skills in audio production and given me a greater confidence in my abilities. But at the same time, I realise that this is only through being willing to take hold of the opportunities presented to me in the course. Thanks for listening.